What is going on, YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a match from one of the most recent RMC locals. This is going to be the finals between myself on the left. I am going to be playing Bond of Friendship, and then on the right we're going to be having Lillithmon. So it's going to be an interesting matchup because Lillithmon obviously can go very crazy with all of its plays, being able to gain a bunch of memory, go into Zwart, be able to bring back Digimon and all that. Madoki is going to slow that down a little bit, as well as the Mimi that I played out, being able to stop their memory gain from Jack Raids, and Lillithmon is going to be pretty big, and then also being able to have the Mimi so that if they want to play something like Deathclaw, it costs 2, while also making it so it invalidates Jack Raids for a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and just play down Gabumon, spark up to 1, and then put my opponent at 1 with the Octomon. As long as they don't have Deathclaw here, it'll be pretty good because the Octomon I want to basically survive. I want to get the EX1 Gabu inheritable to get going, to start searching. I had to kind of just go ahead and commit it here because I didn't really have the best hand going for me. So putting my opponent at 1 and setting up the Octomon really is only punished by the Deathclaw, and if my opponent doesn't have that, then this turn I'm going to be able to go swing in with the Octomon. I'm going to be able to get the EX1 Gabu search, potentially hit something like Bond or another Gabumon off of there. I do hit BT6 Gabu, which I'm just going to go ahead and put straight into the raising area, and off that draw I did just hit Mat, and so I very easily could just play the Mat down, put my opponent at 1, and set up for next turn. And so I'm just thinking about what I want to do. I'm going to Spark to go up to 4, tapping the Mimi, Hammer Spark to 5, and then I'm going to play 2 Mats, putting my opponent at 1. So yes, I did use a lot of resources there with 2 Hammer Sparks, 3 Hammer Sparks already in the trash, and I had to tap my Mimi on my turn, so I can't use it on my opponent's turn, but I do get 2 Mats out. So yes, I did lose out on the Hammer Sparks, but now I'm going to be gaining memory, the same amount of memory when I promote my Gabumon. I'm going to be able to gain 2 memory, draw 2 cards, and that's going to help me out pretty strong there. So my opponent swings in, the Eismon scatter mode does go down, so they're just going with their draw and discard effects here. Think about what they want to go for. No Eismons out here yet, but multiple Jack Raids put in the trash already, so something that they can't really use in the early game right now because this Madoki's on the field. Plus, if this Mimi's suspended, it does make it a little bit weaker, so they can just go and trash the Jack Raids so that later, when they go into Lillithmon, they can just Digivolve, use the effect to bring back 2 of those Jack Raids, and then they'll be able to use those for later. So trashing them isn't that big of a deal just because you do have a way to bring them back outside of just Mat. So my opponent's going to go ahead and go into another scatter mode. I'm going to be able to go into my turn, promote, gain 2, draw 2, and then I'm going to swing with the Octomon. I do hit the Bond, which is what I was looking for here, because now I can go into Bond and potentially go in for game while also bottom decking this Eismon scatter mode. So even if I don't get game here, I'm not too threatened because my opponent can swing in with the Gazi, but they don't have any hybrids to go on top of the Mat, so they can't really go for game too easily here. I do end up trashing 2 Bond of Friendship off of that 1 Bond of Friendship I just played, which was interesting because I only play 3 to Bond of Friendship, so I'm going to go ahead and swing in the first 2 checks, and then I'm going to swing in with the Madoki on the 3rd check. Swinging with Bond the first 2 checks and leaving Madoki is going to leave it so that I can play around the Jack Raid, and then swinging with Madoki last plays around hitting Deathclaw, which I did, so good sequencing there. Now, getting on into game 2, I'm going to start off with Gabumon into Octomon, so that way I can put my opponent at 2, be able to swing in with the 7k Octomon, hope that it does survive. It does hit Deathclaw. My opponent responded on their turn with the Mimi, which is a little bit scary because Mimi on my opponent's end without me having the Mimi means that they can now negate my Hammer Sparks, which is not the greatest because I want to be able to get full value out of my Hammer Sparks, and now I'm going to have to essentially play 2 to get the value of 1 to play around the Mimi. So see my opponent going for the draw discard effects here, draw 3, trash 2, draw 2, trash 1, draw 1, trash 1. No Eismons coming out for free, so that's super huge because that is way less aggression on the board. They are going to go ahead and play the scatter mode out here, which is going to threaten me once again, but with just the scatter mode on the field, it doesn't scare me as much since they didn't play the Eismon. I'm assuming that they don't have one in hand, so I don't have to worry about it as much. So I'm just going to go ahead and put EX1 Gabu in the back, then Mat, so that way next turn I can go and gain 1, draw 1 off of the effect. When I promote that Gabumon, they're going to swing in. It does go down to the Kumamon, so another draw 3, trash 2 here. Jack Raid and promote are going to be the choices to be trashed here, and my opponent's sitting at 1, so see what they want to do here. They are just going to analog to put me at 1, going to grab the Eismon, trash the Gazi and the Dead or Alive, but now I get to go to 2, which means I can go into the Octomon. I can swing, and then Gabumon's effect is going to activate, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab the only target there in TK Kari, which is a nice card to have for later in the game. Being able to have that on the board to suspend when I attack with a blue Digimon to strip these sources is going to be good because they want to be able to get advantage of all their inheritables of the draw discard, as well as they want to be able to gain advantage from the analog. And if you don't have any sources on your ultimates or your megas, you can't use analog's effect to be able to gain the memory and hatch. So Sorjo will be a card that I could consider playing out here, but it is going to be kind of costly for me to get out because I don't have Davis out yet, so I'm still potentially getting choked every turn, and playing Sorjo for 4 is going to be kind of expensive. So my opponent's going to swing Eismon into my Octomon here. They have 2 scatter modes and trash, so Eismon's sitting at 9k, so very cleanly going to be able to swing over the Octomon there, which is unfortunate. It is a good source, especially with the EX1 Gabu underneath it being able to search me, but it is a good play for my opponent. Being able to use the effect of the champion to boost up to a 9k is always going to be strong. One of the less utilized effects, I think, from this deck is people swinging with the highly boosted Eismons, but it is going to work out here, so I'm going to go with another Gabumon. In the back, I want to keep getting as much mat resources as I can, especially with BT6 Gabumon, since if I go into Bond, I'll be able to get that extra attack. So thinking about what I want to go for here, I do have the Aqua Viper in hand, and so I can play that to bounce back the Eismon. I am going to play Hammer Spark here to see if my opponent taps the Mimi, so that way I use the second Hammer Spark here, and then I'm going to be able to swing with the Gabumon. It is going to go down, and I'm just going to go ahead and play the Davis. I thought about playing the Aqua Viper, but I found Davis to be a much higher resource here, because now I'm going to be able to go to 3 next turn, and then I'll be able to go to 4 with the Mat, and that means that I'll have enough memory to be able to swing with Gabumon, and then go into 2 hybrids, or I can swing with Gabumon, and if I hit the Jack Raid, I will be able to go in with a hybrid anyway, which is all I really need, just because my opponent only has 1 security check, so I just need this Gabumon in raising plus something else, so I could go into Bond, I could go into a hybrid, but hybrid's going to be much safer because it will play around the Jack Raid and security. So my opponent's going to go ahead and count the trash here. We are playing against Lilith Loop here, so we might be in time for some type Yu-Gi-Oh plays, if you will, where my opponent's going to go ahead and just play a little bit of solitaire while I watch, but we will have to see what my opponent chooses to go for here. They're going to swing with the Eismons. They do get the Gabumon effect of when attacking, draw 1, trash 1, so it's going to go ahead and trash the Nidhogg to gain a memory. Since the Eismon is at 9k, it is going to survive very safely versus that Kendo check, so still having that on the board, but they are still going to have to play around this Gabumon coming out and then me going into a hybrid. They can't put me at any less than 3 because of Davis, and so we'll see what they can do here. They are going to go with the win rate, tapping the Mimi, so it only costs 1, discarding an Eismon to go into werewolf mode, discarding that Eismon, so will come out for free. My opponent did put it in the trash, but we are going to get that fixed in a second. I'm just like, wait, this Eismon should be out here. So win rate number 2 of the turn is going to come out, put my opponent to 0, and let's see, they're going to discard the Gazimon to go into Lilith here, will be suspended. They'll be able to draw, get the effect, grab 2 option cards. I'm assuming they're going to grab some Jack Raids here. They're going to grab Jack Raid and Dead or Alive, it looks like. Thinking about the Dead or Alive, and I'm just going to go ahead and look through the trash right here to see where we're at with Jack Raid memory. So they are going to be able to gain 2 off the Jack Raid and then 2 off of the Lillithmon, so going up to 4 here, another Jack Raid to go up to 6, and so now they have a ton of memory. They can go into this Wart without the win rate going down to 0, trash 3, and then bring back 2. They have multiple choices they could go into. They could bring back scatter modes, they can bring back promotes, they can bring back Cerberus mons, so let's see what they want to go for. They're going to choose to go with 1 Cerberus mon, 1 promote, so you can swing with the promote, and then you can go into werewolf on top of the Cerberus mon to be able to swing with rush again, get me down to 0 security, but it's being able to get that extra check after that to go in for game to see if they're going to be able to go for. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Kumamon instead of the Bond of Friendship here, just because I'd rather have the 2 hybrids in hand for sure, instead of having the Bond of Friendship, since I'm going to go to 4 anyway. Now my opponent's going to go ahead and Dead or Alive here, going to be able to tap, go 2 analogs, so they pay the 1 memory, go gain 2, and so they're going to be back at 1. Now all they really have to do here is if they have werewolf mode and the promote, then they'll be able to just be able to pop the Cerberusmon with werewolf mode, be able to swing and then put the promote on top of the Eismon for 1. So going with the discard effects here, going to bring the Eismon back out for free, and then we'll see what we go for here. Going to go for the werewolf mode, draw 2, trash 1 here, still looking for a promote. It looks like they didn't end up grabbing one off of the Calling the Darkness, and they don't have one in hand, and so there wasn't one in trash to be able to go for game, and so they are missing their promotes here. A little bit lower of the promote count is going to start to come back and bite them right here, because they just had the one that they brought back with these warts and then not another one in trash to be able to grab, unfortunately for them. So as of right now, they're going to have to try to find a way to be able to go in for the promote here, or something to be able to go in, but with that 1 memory and multiple Jack Raids used, I don't think they're going to be able to have the memory or the resources to potentially go for game here, so they are just going to go for the Cerberus. It's going to put me to 3. I'm going to be able to go to 4. I'm just going to swing, hit the other promote that they were looking for, and then be able to go in with the Kumamon for game. So that is going to be today's match. If you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe, because I'm going to be bringing you even more Digimon content. But with that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. I will catch you all next time. Peace out.